Hey everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with quality content and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and back by popular demand is...
Lily!
Lily! All right, you asked for it, you got it. She's back with a vengeance. Today we're going to be covering our top 10 Uwe Rosenberg games. And for those who don't know it, Uwe Rosenberg is possibly, if not definitely, Lily's favorite board game designer of all time. I don't even think it's close, right? We don't even talk about other game designers by name as often as we talk about Uwe Rosenberg. So I'm excited about this list. How about you, Lily?
Pretty excited. You're not going to be surprised if you have watched my top 25. FYI, because everything is...
Yeah, a lot of them are Uwe Rosenberg.
Uwe Rosenberg.
You're right.
This will be a even more condensed version where everything will be Uwe Rosenberg.
Absolutely. A big disclaimer here. I've only played 12 Uwe Rosenberg games and Lily's played 11. So there's going to be constant overlap. I'm pretty sure I know her top 10. I'm pretty sure her top 10 are my top 10. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are. So what we're going to do is we're the first person to mention any given game is just going to mention it briefly, and we'll engage in more discussion the second time the game is brought up. Sounds good?
And Uwe, if you're listening and if you're looking at it, please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.
Please.
And also,
Uwe.
you can
invite
us. You can invite us, send us any freebie games that we have not played. We would love to try
We will gladly review your games. Absolutely. For free, out of the kindness of our hearts. Yes. So without any further ado, maybe we will start with me. Leave the best for last here. We'll leave Lily for last.
Whatever happened to Lily's going first.
Or if you prefer to go first.
Sure.
Okay, then Lily will go first.
All right.
Number 10.
Number 10. Number 10. I have Le Havre, Inland Port. Disappointed face?
Yes, very much so.
All right, so I will put this away because we're not going to talk about it right now. And Harry here will tell you a little bit about it later.
Okay.
What about you, Harry? What is
my number 10, I don't think I'm going to offend anybody too much with that, is Werfel Bohnanza, right? So this is a cool dice version of Bohnanza, and perhaps we will talk about it later on, I think. All right, so Lily, your number 9?
My number 9, Babel.
All right.
Is that right? Or is it Babel?
Babel. Some people say Babel. I prefer to say Babel. Sounds more like the Hebrew.
Yeah, if you have not played it, it's my number 9.
Okay. All right. So we're going real quick right now, right? So now my number 9 game, classic game, Bohnanza, regular old Bohnanza, Uwe's first claim to fame. I'm guessing we will be talking more about that briefly. Now we move on to our number 8.
My number 8, he already said it. It's Werfel Bohnanza. Yes. The dice version of Bohnanza.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of Bohnanzas going around.
I don't think this is in print in any American or North American distributor, but I think it's still in print in Germany. It's a fun little light,
brush up on your German.
Yeah, rolling game, kind of Yahtzee style, where you get a couple opportunities to roll and re-roll your dice. It's nice and neat. It's different, and it's a good filler. But I think that's probably why it's so low on both of our lists. It's just a filler. It's good for what it does, but that's pretty much it.
I disagree. But then again, it is my number 8. So.
You disagree that it's...
Not a filler.
You don't think it's a filler? Oh, okay. No. I mean, it plays pretty quickly. The decisions are pretty light. I mean, that's pretty much the definition of a filler. Correct me if I'm wrong.
A filler is like the Princess game or whatever.
Love letter? I mean, the back says that this is a 45-minute game. Yeah, that's maybe true if you play with 4 people or something like that. But if you play with 2 people, I don't know. I feel like it's a filler. I might be wrong.
I have already reviewed this, but if you haven't watched it, a bunch of little dice. Essentially, you are trying to complete different combinations of them.
Yes.
And then you score coins on the left here.
Yeah, you're rolling for the bean types.
You're rolling for the bean types, and then whenever you accomplish either this or any, well, you start from the bottom up.
Yeah, you work your way. You have to do it sequentially. Yeah.
Sequentially, but you can accomplish it on your turn or in your opponent's turn.
Yeah, and the dice can count towards multiple of these objectives if you do it all in one shot, like in one turn. It's really nice and neat. I really think it's a creative way to re-implement Bohnanza. I just think it's super duper light.
It's pocket size.
Yeah, very convenient, travel friendly.
Very convenient, travel friendly, and a great way to spend your quarantine.
All right, so my number 8 has also been mentioned already, and that is Babel. Now, Babel is one of the older Uwe Rosenberg card games. You know, your players are trying to build different temples, and each of the temples has potentially 6 levels, and the amount of levels that your temple has is how much points you have. But what's interesting about this game is that even though it's a very Euro-style game with lots of interesting mechanisms, it also has a lot of cutthroat attacking.
Yep.
Basically, everything you do in this game can hurt your opponent, right? Lily likes that. Yet she only ranked at number 9. Explain that to me. But
the other ones are so good.
The other ones are so good. I guess you're right. But this is cool if you don't mind. And the thing is, it's a 2-player game. So I feel like in a 2-player game, the attacking doesn't feel that annoying because it's not like you're picking on that person, right? That person is your opponent. So who else are you going to mess with, right? So
this is the one that you steal the temples, don't you?
You can steal person's temple levels. You can destroy person's temples.
Build it up to whatever. Like somebody can come in and like just totally replace them. And then
the work of your hands.
You can see the different dynasties, not the dynasties.
Yeah, the different people groups, right? There's like Assyrians and Persians and yeah, it's really cool.
It's my archaeological self. I've always wanted to.
Good design, good design.
Indiana Jones.
Let's move on to our number 7. What's our number 7? Your number 7.
Number 7. Already have been mentioned.
Bohnanza, the classic. Yes, yes.
So Bohnanza is a card game. I think I have reviewed it before. Bohnanza can be played with multiple players. I like it up to 7 players. We've never played it. We've played it with 5, right? The nieces and
I think we've played up to 5, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
but for the
5.
most part, we played it with 3 or 4. And honestly, we haven't played it as much as we played some of the other implementations of Bohnanza because the other ones can be played at 2 players. That's another advantage, though, too. This one needs 3 players.
But it's nice. You can brush up on all your bean types.
Yeah.
The stinky beans.
I guess the one thing I would say is the rule book. The rule book says you should go through the deck 3 times.
The cocoa beans.
And I think that's absolutely absurd. The most you could go through that deck is twice. If you go 3 times, you're asking for it. It's too long. Preferably, if you don't mind it being a quicker experience, I think 1 time through the deck can be good for like a filler type of thing. But if you wanted a little bit meatier and longer game for opportunities for making comebacks and things like that, 2 times around the deck, I would say is as much as you should go.
To bean or not to bean?
That is the question.
That is the question. And we chose to
All right. So that was your number 7, huh? My number 7 starts with the same word because it's Bohnanza the Duel. And we will hear about this not too soon. All right. What is your number 6, Lily?
Bohnanza the Duel.
No way. I do not believe you. No way. Bohnanza the Duel.
Thank you, Lucy, for contributing.
Yes, our good friend Lucy, if she ever takes the time to watch this video, we love you. We adore you. My wife did not play board games with me until you bought us this.
That is true. That is what converted me. I guess I should have been a farmer in some other life. So,
it's a 2-player version.
Different. It's totally different. It has a different mechanism. The same cards, but it does have the little fields, which the other one doesn't have. And it has this mechanism where you're back and forth one with the other player. So you line up all the different type of beans, and essentially the player has to accept in each turn. The opposite player has to accept one of the beans.
One player has to, you take turns making offers and counter offers until finally someone has to accept it. The thing is that
like you don't have all the type of beans available, so at some point you're like bluffing, and then if the other person calls your bluff, you're out of luck.
You pay them a coin.
Give up a coin,
which is a 2-point difference.
A coin is.
That's a 2-point difference because you're losing a point and they're gaining a point. But like, so that's a lot.
Like to get a coin, sometimes you have to do like crazy things. Like,
Yeah.
For instance, like this one, you have to get 2 of them in a row to get 1 coin. The blue bean, you need 4 of them in a row to get 1 coin. I mean, coins don't come by.
Yeah. No, and it's tough, but in order to make
But it's
up,
more cutthroat.
in order to make up for the lack of trading that doesn't exist in a 2-player game, obviously, they make up for it by creating these reward cards that help you score a little bit, not as much, but they let you score a little bit by getting certain combinations. And also, it's a little bit more lenient because in regular Bohnanza, you have to build consecutive cards of the same type. Here, you can build cards consecutively of different types as long as they follow sequentially in number order.
Right.
So it gives a little bit of breathing room as far as making your decisions. Now, before we go...
Right here. Like you complete like 4 of one kind and 2 of
and
one
then 2 of
kind,
kind, and then
coin.
you get like 1 full coin. Sometimes it's like 7/10 of a point, or 4/10 of a point, or what have you.
It's really cool.
But I will say this before we go on to our number 6. I just need to ask, because I'm pretty sure that if we would have made this list a month ago, this would have been like number 3. And I'm sure if we ask a week from now, it might be number 3 again. Why is this at number 6 right now? Why is it that low?
Because there are other games that we've played since.
That's true, but some of them... Oh, man, I'm just... I know which games, obviously, you have higher, but I just wonder what changed. You had a recent play of this. What... Did you finally realize what I've realized a long time ago, that this game is good, but it's a little bit, not as... It can't hold its weight with some of the heavier games? Did you finally realize that?
The thing is that I'm still new to the board gaming hobby, right? So, like, I've only been christened 2 years ago. 2 years? 3 years?
I mean, we started playing this we started playing this, and this is when you really started playing a lot with me, and this was 2 years ago, yeah.
This was 2018.
Yeah, this was like March of 2018.
Yeah, I was pregnant. May.
Or May, yeah, May.
Because you had it.
Yeah.
We were in Florida when this happened. Either way. So I'm fairly new, and I don't really dispose of as much time as Harry, and also it's not my only hobby. So anyway, bottom line is, I am just now starting to like chew on more heftier games. So this is a great game for like a teenager / new person to the board game.
Yeah, I mean, it's
all the bonanzas.
Yeah, it's a good game for a person in the hobby too, but it is a little bit of like filler territory, like maybe a little bit above filler.
I love them. They will be like my first love in high school. You know what I'm saying?
They look good on you.
But then you move on and you go to college and then you have other things.
All right, well,
that's why it's
let me go to my... So that was your number 6? Let me go to my number 6, and this is a game... At this point, I love these games. It's just like Lily, I'm sure, still loves Bohnanza the Duel. I love this game, but my number 6 is Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small. Okay, and we will be hearing about this very, very soon. So, now we move on to
you've really had it.
Our top 5, the cream of the crop. Here we go, Lily. What's your number 5?
Oh my gosh, I'm like getting nervous here. I really hope he's not gonna say something. Anyway. My number 5 is At the Gates of Loyang.
All right.
At the Gates of Loyang, it's another game by Uwe Rosenberg. That is, yet again, another farming game, trading game.
Maybe we'll hear about it more later.
It is definitely...
Perhaps.
It is definitely...
It might be coming up.
I hope you have it in your top 10. I will be highly disappointed if I have played this thing like a lot.
So you're number 5. All right. Well, my number 5 has been mentioned already. And it is Le Havre Inland Port. And I cannot believe that this was your number 10.
Turn it around.
Honestly, if it would have been your number 9, I would have understood. Your number 10, Werfel Bohnanza, is higher than Le Havre Inland Port. Now, I grant you there's some things with this game. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and it has it's not going to be that replayable because it doesn't have any expansions, and it doesn't come with tons of content inside the game. But for a game that you're going to play like 4 or 5 times a year, it is really, really cool. And I actually like this re-implementation of Le Havre more than I like Agricola's All Creature Big and Small's re-implementation of Agricola, even though it's a fine one, because it's just so neat. He changes the game up so much with that dial and with that warehouse grid that you're trying to manipulate. I find that to be so neat. But you don't like that?
I don't like that it has nothing to do with the original.
I mean, the theme is the same. And you're
Yes,
trying to get a lot of
all
money.
These games have a theme of farming.
No. Well, this is a port. No. But it has the same idea. You're acquiring buildings and you're making lots and lots of money. It's just like you like that about Le Havre.
I really despise this grid. Whoever came up with this grid.
It's the warehouse is the problem.
I don't like it.
How about the dial? What do you think about the dial though?
The dial is confusing because like one person has one dial that says some numbers and the other person has the other dial that says another number, and you have to know
at each
which dials they're being like.
Follow along. Number 10. Hey, I love it because you have this dial here. You can see the dial right there, and basically as the rounds progress, we get more turns collectively. It's just like Le Havre in the sense that the amount of turns are a collective amount, right? And it's always an odd number, so one player is always going to get one more turn than the other player on each given round. But it's cool because it revs up. Like in Le Havre, you always have the same amount of turns every round, 7. Here, you start with just 3 turns, so one player is only going to get 1 turn. And as you progress, by the end of the game, you're having 9 different actions. So one player gets 5 and one player gets 4. And you have the buildings that you put on this dial, and you rotate the dial to indicate which round you're in, but it also indicates how valuable those buildings are and how many actions you can get from it. So for example, a building that gets you a brick, if it's on the space of the dial that is multiplied by 4, it would get you 4 bricks. So choosing when to use your buildings, when to use your opponent's buildings, not going too long and procrastinating using your buildings, because eventually if you go too long, you lose the building and you need to sell it for half of its value, so it depreciates. All these things make for very crunchy, nail-biting decisions.
So, here's what I think. It's amazing, what do you call it? Concept and execution. It's its own standalone game, is what it is. They should have just changed the name, make it whatever else, and like, I probably would have liked it more, because like, I didn't go into it thinking it had anything to do with Le Havre. It has nothing to do with Le Havre. It's its own game. It's its own mechanics. It's its own everything. The only thing that Le Havre and this thing share, you don't even ship half of the time. Do you even ship on this thing?
I don't think you really ship.
But like, it's not even... The only thing is that the coins look the same.
You know what?
And like the people in the front.
The box art. No, I will give you that. I will give you that.
It has nothing to do with that.
I agree. I could see.
It could be a great game if just play it knowing that it's nothing to do with that.
I could see your point where going into the game expecting something and seeing something different can be disappointing. I hear you on that. I just wish you could be more objective and realize that there's a great game there. And that's my number 5, Le Havre. So let's move on to Lily's number 4.
All right, he put it as my number. Your number what?
6. My number 6.
Number 6.
Pretty close. And what's that?
Agricola, all creatures, big and small.
Yes.
Thank you, Uwe, because you actually stuck with the same theme, the same board, and everything for consistency. I would like to know what to expect every time I sit down. So yes, I do not want to be thrown with curveballs when I think I'm playing something and it turns out there's something totally different. Yeah. But you already did it, right? So
yeah. Talk about it.
So Agricola, all creatures big and small. The less stressful version of Agricola. Very nice. I love it. You do not have to feed your people. You do not have to procreate. You start with the same people that you end the game with, and that makes for less decisions in life. Really like it. Really like it. You get to have expansions of your farm, so like you could expand your farm to be bigger. I think this is a game that we're gonna end up playing with our kids before we play Agricola, probably.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. I mean, even though it's a 2-player game, so one of us would have to play.
It's quicker. I mean, it's just nicer. I really like it. I really like it, and it's just like Agricola. It's just like a quicker, easier version, less cutthroat.
No, it's a great game. As I mentioned earlier, I love this game too. It just missed going higher. I do just find that, to me at least, I guess the same reason why you knock on Le Havre and L'Import makes me favorite the fact that Uwe got creative and went in a radically different direction, mechanically speaking, while keeping the theme. While in Agricola, all creatures big and small, he kind of just condensed Agricola into a smaller experience, which works, right? It does work well. He makes it a much shorter game, eliminates some of the tense, stressful elements of the game, makes it kind of like just a more, I'm not going to say it's necessarily family weight, but it's like around that, medium to light weight of the game. So yeah, so that's number 5. You're number 4 actually. Agricola, all creatures big and small.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is, what is my number 4? My number 4 has already been mentioned, and it's At the Gates of Loyang. And this is a great game. Oh man, I mean, honestly, this was really, really close to being my number 3, and I will get to that shortly, but it is an amazing game. And going back to like the whole Le Havre inland port thing, one of the things I appreciate this game is that it feels very different than some of Uwe's bigger games.
That's true.
It's not a worker placement game. It's kind of like an engine building game where you're finding ways to like produce different veggies and keep on producing them, but you're also trying to acquire customers that will pay you for those veggies. And you need to like it's like an exercise in efficiency. You want to be producing the right veggies at the right time so that you could feed your customers appropriately, because you have 2 different types of customers. You have your casual customers. You have your casual customers and you have your regular customers. And your regular customers expect a certain frequency with your delivery. So if you keep them waiting, they're not gonna be satisfied, and you're gonna have to pay penalties. While your casual customers, you can leave them waiting, but they'll pay you a little bit more, right? So it's a little bit, tug of war, finding that right balance, and so on and so forth. So what do you think about the game, Lily?
At the Gates of Loyang, for those of you who did not watch my top 25, go check out. Definitely one of them. And I am on a little Mandarin phase in my life, as I have mentioned before, so I love anything in Chinese. And definitely like the texture of look at this, it's like wooden pieces that are different colors. And you get to go to the market and exchange them. So if you don't have a pumpkin here, you could put something that you have extra of and exchange it for that. So I mean, it's really cool. I love the texture of it. I'm very big into textures. So
The tactile experience.
Tactile experience, absolutely. And how visually it looks. And this is a beautiful game visually. Beautiful. You have like your fields and you're like,
oh yeah, the game is beautiful.
Expanding and
very colorful. The
very
artwork,
colorful.
Absolutely.
They really put a lot of thought into making every little detail of it. So thank you, Uwe. I love it.
Thank you.
I rarely win, but that's okay because I still like it.
Who do you normally play against?
Yeah. Moving on.
All right. So that was your number 4, or your number 3?
No, that was your number.
That was my number 4, and that was your number
5.
Okay, now let's move on to your number 3.
Number 3, a recent game that we have unboxed here on this channel, and we have recently started playing Mercator. Okay, do not be fooled by the ugly mustard-looking color.
If you will pardon me for 1 second.
Renaissance art.
1 second.
What?
This is our only, I'm sure, first and very likely only exact crossover. This is my number 3
Really?
Uwe Rosenberg game of all time, and I am so surprised that it's your number 3. But keep on.
I have a love-hate relationship, mostly hate, with the game because I when I win and often can't. But I have.
Who do you play this game with?
I did win last time, didn't I? Pretty sure I won last time. Did I win last time?
Sure.
It was an enjoyable experience.
You did come close. You came
All right.
close to winning.
Harry here has taken the time to arrange all the little pieces into their own little space, which is amazing because this is one thing I don't like about this game.
Yeah.
I don't like about this game is that what was put into this game, which was effort.
Yeah, better art, better components.
Was not put into this game at all.
Yeah, just some cubes, some small little cubes, colored cubes.
The cubes are tiny. I mean, like my our 20-year-old or 20-month-old could swallow this any day. We have to like play it once every kid.
We play
goes
when
to
she's
sleep.
asleep.
Yeah, and make sure we like vacuum afterwards.
Yeah.
Tiny pieces.
The board is very abstracted.
The board I will show you in a minute, but like the tiny pieces reside inside another square, where you have a hard time grasping, and this thing is falling apart half of the time. And then the board. Yeah, my point exactly. Okay. Then the board. Where is the board? No, this is the board.
These are the individual player boards. Here's the the main board. It's two boards that you put together, and it's like an abstracted map of Europe. Yes.
Do you see a map? I don't see a map. I see more squares.
It's a bunch of squares that point to each other. But
So,
if you look hard in the background, there's some kind of global map. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very
vintage.
But how about we talk about the things that we like about this game? It's our number 3.
If you can get through past all of that,
yeah,
past all the rule books and actually play it. And this is a player game that you're doing.
the player board. Yep.
The player boards.
You
You
store your
will
goods
get
there.
to store your square-looking ugly goods into here. And then there is another component of cards that you get to draft. Where if you go to different places in the board,
Yeah.
you are going to
You're fulfilling these contracts.
different contracts, and then like this is a level 6 contract. So if you fulfill it in Hamburg, then you will go to a level 7, which may be fulfilled elsewhere.
So there's a little bit of pickup and delivery where you're manipulating the player piece and going to the different locations, the different countries, and where you go determines what goods you pick up from that actual location, and also from any bonus cards that you might have that get you additional goods. But also, you're trying to, after you've acquired said goods, you're trying to make it to other spots on the map where you can deliver those goods and fulfill certain contracts that you're picking up. And it's interesting because you have contracts ranging from 2 to 10, each with different levels of difficulty and value. And basically, your contracts, fulfilled or not, are your victory points at the end of the game. But when you fulfill a contract, you're allowed to draw a contract of the next highest level. So you want to fulfill contracts in order to acquire more contracts. It was really cool because in this game, time is a tangible resource where you draw these time tokens. And certain places that you go to on the board, I guess, are like resourceful places to go to where you actually save time or acquire time tokens. And other places are harder to get to, so you actually have to spend time tokens to get to. So you have to manage that right balance, because sometimes you might want to go to a spot on the board and you can't. Not because you don't want to, but because you don't have the time resources.
And you can
to go
pay it
there.
back on somebody else's turn and pay them a token.
You can. You can travel along with them, which is really cool.
Then they have these other cards also, where if you go to different places and you own this card, whenever you go to Newfoundland, for instance, or to Sweden, you will get 2 of whatever it is in the cards.
Yeah.
So this is another way to get resources. There's definitely lots of resource management.
Yeah.
Contract fulfilling.
Some bonus cards that help you score in different ways.
I sense a theme, Uwe.
Yeah.
I sense a theme of contracts.
Yeah.
Being fulfilled.
Kind of like at the Gates of Loyang.
Yeah, much like at
Absolutely,
the Gates of Loyang.
absolutely. I mean, and here's the thing. Like we said, the art and all that stuff and the components. If this game was a looker, I don't know. This game would have a chance to be in our top 2, I think.
This game could rival the
next two, exactly. The next two, because you're not going to hear about it anytime soon. So, yeah, well, that's it. That's our number 3. Let's move on to your number 2.
All right, this thing has...
And at this point, I'm pretty...
And the cards are tiny as well.
At this point...
Everything's small.
At this point, we'll clean up later. At this point, I could pretty much figure out what your number 2 is, but it'd be interesting. I've been surprised. Both Bohnanza the Duel and Mercator have been drastic surprises for me. So what is your number 2?
Agricola. Is it not your
Yes,
number
it is.
2?
It is not.
Interesting. No, oh yeah, you did say that Mercator was the only one. Agricola. Heavy box, because Harry has made it his mission to fit every Agricola expansion into one box.
Yeah, I just bought an insert for it recently and put it together.
I'll show you. He really has. Oh wow. Put everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So
Goodness.
we have this part of the insert, which carries all the player boards and all the main boards and all the expansion boards. Yeah, don't tilt that too much. Don't want to stay up all night for that.
Anyway, another game that was definitely a lot of thought.
A labor of love.
Labor of love. Look at that.
I believe that
Look
the
at
first
carrot.
edition of Agricola though also had cubes, but I think it was bigger cubes. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
But they wised
last
up.
one.
They wised up and made these Anna meeples and veggie meeples and everything else. And we've also invested into the little miniatures for the family members. Really, really cool.
Absolutely.
And yeah, but we're not supposed to be talking about this because we'll be talking about that in depth later on. So that is Lily's number 2, Agricola. Now let's talk about my number 2, and we'll mention it briefly because we'll be talking about it, well, right after this. Le Havre, my number 2, and Lily, is this your
Number 1.
So tell us about it, Lily.
Number 1. Le Havre. I love this game. It is my number 1 of all time. Not only today, but just ever. Of all time.
Oh, now nobody's gonna go watch your video, but you don't know what her number 2, 3, 4, and all the way to 25 is. Continue.
Totally now. Le Havre. An actual game of fulfilling contracts as well. But that, like, I don't know, maybe because I learned it first, I have a better experience than the Le Havre inland port, because I was thinking that the other one was just like this, and it wasn't. It was totally different. Throw me off guard. But anyway, this game does not have a board. You're playing on...
Oh no, it does have a board.
Well, I guess a little
I mean, the
bit.
board, you know, has the resources on it, and it has
I
the
guess so.
the buildings before they get
Like,
added to the city.
It has the buildings, but like you don't build anything on that board or anything.
Yeah, you don't have a player board.
You don't have a player
You have a tableau. You have a space in front of you where you put all the buildings that you end up building and your resources. Not like Agricola where you have your own player board.
It is not as beautiful as Agricola. Like, it's just a bunch of little tiles, like cardboard-like tiles that represent charcoal, represent iron.
They're functional though.
They're functional.
Because
I
you flip them over to
I
convert
appreciate
them.
that they're not cubes. Thank you so much, Uwe. Definitely, each thing has 2 sides because you will either like cook a cow into meat, or you will make them procreate, or make from grain you will make bread. You know, so you have all these other cards that let you do different things.
The different buildings.
So you like construct different buildings that let you like go fish for fish and smoke them so you can feed more people with it. You also acquire ships as the game goes on, and those ships are also like food.
Yeah, they help you feed your
help
people.
You feed, and then you have to like come up with your own food to
supplement it.
At the end of each round. So it's much like Agricola in that sense. Like every 3 rounds or so.
Well, every round actually is a. Every round is not a harvest round, but every round is a feeding round. You have to feed every round.
No, like
Well, that's 7 turns in each round.
Turns. So like every 7 turns, you'll have a feeding round. The thing is that the 7 turns is an even number, so
an odd number,
uneven or odd. So the person that went first will go last. Is it? Right?
No. You will always continue in the same order.
No. I'm saying that the person that goes first, will they have a last turn? How was it that it would?
No. Lily's trying to say because she never wants to go. Yeah. She never wants to go first in Le Havre because if you go first, that means you'll have more turns on the first round, but it's going to mean you're going to have less turns in the last round. And she's trying to map it out so that she can have the most.
The last round is the one that like
it's very crucial,
the most, because that's when you're like trying to ship as much stuff. Like you actually like have accrued all this stuff.
It's your last chance to milk it.
Your last chance to take as much money, make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So anyway, really cool game. I just like the different things that are going on in the board.
Yeah.
So there's like building buildings, there's feeding, there is taking turns and going to get resources. Yeah. There's managing those resources and where they go.
Absolutely.
There's shipping those there's converting the resources to more expensive type of the same resources, like from what was it, the fabric to leather, or what was it from?
You can turn the
hide.
Then
from hide to leather, from cow to meat, from this to that. So so more expensive versions that you could then sell at a higher price once you ship it.
Yes.
But then you need to like also have a ship, so you need to like work towards that. And at the same time,
a bunch of different things to have a smooth an engine, feed your people, build your buildings. It's an amazing game, and it's a feel-good game because it's the kind of game where even if you're losing, you feel like you're doing so well.
I feel like I'm
Right?
succeeding in life, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm doing something great here.
And it probably isn't until the last couple turns where you
You're
kind
like,
of
"Oh,
feel
man."
like, you know what, I'm about to lose this game. But for those first several rounds, you're having so much fun and you're doing so good. And again, it's just a really, really good feel-good moment. I like this game a lot too. It was my number 2. I think the one thing, I wish it had more content. It does have one little expansion and it has a lot, don't get me wrong. But I guess I wish it had a little bit more content. And to some extent, I guess I wish it was a little bit more tight and stressful. I mean, it is stressful, don't get me wrong, but it's stressful in like a positive way. It's stressful like, man, I want to be richer than what I even am. You know what I mean?
I love to multitask, and this game is like, if you like to multitask, it's your game.
It's a great game.
You'll be doing like a million. This in Agricola.
But now we'll be moving on to the true number 1, my number 1, and it's Lily's number 2, and it is Agricola. Agricola is an amazing game, and yes, it has the conflict of feeding your people and the conflict of, you know,
running out.
trying to do a little bit of everything, because if you fail to do or neglect things altogether, you will pay the price. If you don't feed your people, you'll pay the price. But I actually appreciate and enjoy these things. It kind of serves as a check and balance and makes you rethink and revisit certain decisions that you would make otherwise if those consequences weren't there. And I feel like for some people, they feel like that forces them to do something. I don't feel like it forces you to do something, because you could still theoretically choose to neglect to feed your family maybe once in a game. You probably don't want to do it more than once in a game. And you could choose to neglect certain areas of the game to focus on others. You just can't neglect too much. You have to have some sort of balance to your approach in the game. And Agricola, it's one of those games that I say we're an Agricola family. Obviously, we play Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small. We also own Agricola, the Family Edition. Lily was alluding to our 2 children. This is probably where, when we want to play the entire family, this will probably be the first version of Agricola. It's not my first Agricola. This is definitely still for a bigger child. But I think no, there's my first Bohnanza.
Oh, Bohnanza.
But this, I think, for like an 8-year-old, maybe a 7-year-old, but definitely for like an 8-9-year-old, this is the way to go before you graduate them to regular Agricola. Yeah. But this game is phenomenal. You have
I didn't want to break it on to them that life is going to be that stressful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is like medieval farming life. Let's be real. Life was hard, right? It still is. But I love the cards. You know, Lily and I, as a matter of fact, I don't play this with too many other people, but the only person I play with the cards with is Lily. You know, we play with the cards, the different, you know, minor improvements and the occupations. And there's always a different variety of cards. And it's so cool just trying to like go into the game, having an idea of what you're aiming towards. I like, how many games do you really have that? I mean, you might kind of think about what you're going to do, but this card drafting that we do before the game really makes you kind of like map out your game. And sometimes you're going to be disappointed with how things turned out. Like, it didn't turn out the way I planned. But sometimes you're going to be like, wow, that kind of came out almost the way I envisioned it from the very beginning. So tell me why you love Agricola.
Multitasking, feeling stressful, and essentially feeling like my time is running out of life. Because just when you think you're doing so great, like, that's it. Like, that's it. There's a harvest round, and you have to feed people. You have to stop, scramble, try to figure out if you have an oven, like what you're gonna cook, to come up with 2 foods per person. You're also having to like upgrade your house, because without an upgrade and adding more rooms, you won't be able to accommodate a growing family.
Yes.
I mean, it's
so realistic, right?
It's like our life right now, minus the farming.
Can we build another room of clay?
Can't really build another room of clay. We have our game room.
Yeah.
That's it. Either that or the basement. Pretty sure you don't have the space.
The top major improvement of all.
So yeah, maybe you'll upgrade to stone.
Yeah. But you know, that was our top 10. I look forward to lots of more Uwe. Obviously, you know, some of you may have played other games that we haven't mentioned. Feel free to comment your favorite Uwe Rosenberg games in the comment section down below. But we do have some that are in the pipeline right now that we're going to be learning soon. I actually mentioned some earlier to Lily. We're going to be playing sometime in the near future. We're going to be playing Aura and Labora, which is a game I'm very much looking forward to. I've heard really good things about it. And also Glass Road, which is like a grail game for many people, because I believe it's not in print right now, and we do happen to own a copy of it. So those are some games that I'm really, really excited to play. And again, it's gotten to the point where Uwe is like old faithful for us. Like we trust him, you know?
I do trust you, Uwe. Feel free to continue doing what you do best.
Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work, Uwe.
Well,
the world
anyways,
needs you.
thank you so much, guys, for taking out some time to watch us here at When Harry Met Board Games. Please don't forget, smash that like button down below and subscribe to our channel if you're interested in some board game related content and some Lily. Again, this is Harry
and Lily.
Take care, guys.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.